Good morning, good evening, everybody. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you, especially Dr. Charuni Amarasekara. She is our speaker today. Today we talk about how to succeed in competency-based interview. Dr. Charuni Amasekar currently working as TD module integration and yield engineering at Intel. Was a postdoctoral scholar at University of Washington and complete PhD at University of Kansas and she is complete undergraduate at University of Peradeniya. And I'm welcome to uh, Dr. Charuni Amarasekara. It's time to you to talk to our students. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you, Akila, for your introduction. Before I start, if you have any questions in the middle of the presentation, please don't hesitate to ask questions. You can stop me and ask questions anytime. And I'm going to stop sharing video because I don't know, since we have a lot of people join to avoid any network issues, keep the bandwidth. And I hope you will have a good time uh, and hope all of you are safe. So let's start the talk. Uh, so today I will be talking about how successfully we face a competency-based interview. So I put these four pictures because these people are successful people from different areas. So Dr. Francis is the one who received the Chemistry Nobel Prize in 2018. And this is Elaine, who won the Olympic medal recently for 100-meter women competition. And Oprah is a successful artist. And Jeff is a successful businessman who is the founder of Amazon. So when we think about all of these people, what makes these people successful, right? And are they lucky enough to be successful? Or like, is there something that they have done more to be successful? So if you look at carefully, uh, there are three things that needs to be successful. One thing is that you need to learn what it takes to be successful, and then we have to work towards successful, right? What we need to work, like what we need to understand, and then we have to work together. And then what to do if we fail, right? Has these people failed ever? Yes, they have failed many times. And Oprah had a very hard childhood. Jeff had failed several times as a businessman before he succeeded. I'm sure Elaine might have done the same when she was starting. So success is not always like success. There are failures. So you learn through failures and then you try to be successful. So today, when I'm talking my topic, I would like to centralize my topic around these three areas. Um, so first, we try to understand what is a competency-based interview. So in competency-based interview, the best they try to say that the best predictor of future performance is the past performance. So in competency-based interview, they evaluate your past performance and then try to correlate it with future performance. So in very simply, a competency-based interview uses behavioral question to help interviewer to assess the candidate based on their uh, critical competencies that is needed for the job. So these interviews are very structural, and you ask behavioral questions. And in these type of question interviews, the candidate is assessed more effectively, and it is considered as a fair interview process because everybody is given a structured questions. So everyone is treated kind of fairly in this type of interviews. So now we know what is a competency-based interview, but do you know what a competency is? Um, when I was a student like you, I didn't know what is a competency is. I only knew it when I started looking for jobs and tried to face interviews. So competency is a combination of three things. One is knowledge, what you need for the role, like your theoretical background, what you learn as an undergrad, like you learn in the class. If you are doing management, you learn management theories. If you are doing science, you learn maybe the chemistry theories, what is behind them, right? Or biological stuff. And then it you need skills, right? So when you are asked to perform a job, you need to have some set of skills. This could be a technical skill or a practical skill. So these skills are like you are preparing a report, you know how to use Excel and maybe do a data analysis or something like that, some technical and also as well as practical skills. Then the third one is the attributes or the characteristic of a person. As a person, what type of uh, person you are? Are you an efficient person? Are you hardworking person? Can you solve problems? So all of these things come together under this section. So to be an to be to perform optimally, right? To show your optimum performance, you need to have all of these three factors. So that is why a competency is a combination of all three. So if you have more knowledge, but you don't have skill, you don't become an optimum person. So let's look at what are some core competencies. So core competencies are skills used in many organizations to help and achieve their organization goals. So some of these things involve decision making, teamwork, and motivation, problem solving. So these are some of the major things that most of the jobs need. So let's, in the next couple of slides, let's look at in detail some of these competencies and why they are important. So decision making is one of the major competencies that is needed. So what happens if you make a bad decision, right? So you need to, when you are in a job, when you are doing a job, or in a job, you need to make the best decision as possible as you can, right? So then when you making a decision, how you make the decision. So you need to make sure you strategically understand the situation. You gather all the information and analyze each and everything. And then you consider what decision you can take and what other decision. If your first decision fails, what other decision you have to take. And then you have to commit to your decision. Can you change your decision from minute to minute? No, it's not a successful thing. So it is very good skill. You must improve decision making. If you are planning to go to a job, you will always have to make decision for something. And the other biggest thing is teamwork. So recently, in many of the jobs that I have applied and I have been interviewed, I have seen all of them required to be like do collaboration and teamwork. So when you work in a team, you have several different people, right? You have to accept their differences, you have to support their decisions, and then you have to work as a team. So sometimes you have to put your own goals ahead of your group, right? Your group comes first when you do a teamwork. So this is very essential thing that you need to develop. You need to make sure every time when you get a chance, work together, identify how you how can you support each other, and how you can accept differences. Different team members will have different ideas, so how you respect these differences is very important too. So planning is another important competency. uh, why do we need planning? So sometimes you are given a lot of work at the same time. So your manager will ask you to do, okay, do this work and this work, complete this by this timeline. So when you have those kind of thing, and you will have several meetings to go, right? So then you have to realize why it is important to plan. So we have to plan and organize our uh, task. And then the most important thing is setting priority. Which work I need to do first, and which work I need to do second. And then you have to schedule your activities, right? You have 10 meetings, but then you need to prioritize which meeting you need to go, right? You cannot be at the same time twice. So, and then when you have resources, and you have to allocate these resources properly. So think you have a team and you only have one computer with one software, so you have to come up with the plan how to use this software by each group member, how effectively we can use this within group members. So for every those things require planning, so it is an important competency. And problem solving, so this is something I really like. Working as an engineer, I like solving problems every day, not like solving mathematical problems but practical problems, right? So you have, when you are solving problems, it is very important to think critically and realize what we need to solve this problem. So if you have data, you gather all the data, and then if you can analyze the data related to problem, it is important. So sometimes you might not have data, so you have to analyze the problem. How did it start? Where did what happened? So what is the cause for this problem, right? Then when you completely understand the problem, you can come up with the best idea to solve the problem, right? Then you can suggest, okay, this problem can be solved by this idea. So it is very important that when you are you might not have work experience because you are an undergraduate, but you, whenever you have day-to-day life problems, analyze them, try to gather the skill, right? Even if you are doing an experiment, you might face a problem, so try to find out how I can solve this. Or when you are doing a practical exam, right? It is very important to develop these skills within you to be successful. And communication is plays a major role too, because sometimes I also have weakness in communication because I'm not a native speaker. So sometimes when I'm working with people, I also have hard time putting together things and expressing the clear idea. So it is very important that when you are talking with people, you have to express your ideas effectively and as well as clearly. If you don't communicate well, you will not have a good understanding on what is going on, right? And and also you have to know your audience. So when you're communicating with people, you need to know, are you talking with a scientist? With scientist, how you talk about the subject matter? Or are you talking to a general person who does not know science, right? Then you cannot tell scientific words to them. Then it will not make sense, right? So it is very important that you need to identify your audience, and then always listen carefully. Listening is a very good skill that you need to improve. So uh, now that we know some of the competencies and their importance, so let's see, how do we find out when we apply for a job, or when we have an interview, how to find out the required competencies for a job. So my recommendation, read the job description not once, twice, read as many times as you can. So when you read the job description, it will give you a very good understanding what is expected in this job. So here is an example of a software engineer advertisement I got yesterday from website. So if you read carefully the job description, it says what competencies are looked for this job, right? It says be a team player, contribute to an inclusive work environment, right? Knowledge sharing, finding new opportunities, verbal, written, and presentation skills. So these things are always in the job description. So when you are applying for a job, carefully look at these facts and understand what is expected from you. Um, then it is easy for you to get prepared, right? So this is another job advertisement, but this doesn't have a separated saying these are the behavioral questions, but it says must be organized, have analytical skills, right? And then excellent oral written communication skills, have to work independently, time dependent decisions. So these are the this is how you find. So always look at the job description and highlight those things. So when when you apply and when you are asked, when you are invited for an interview, then it is easy for you to prepare. So when we were students, most of us the realize the importance of understanding what the teacher or professor is looking for, right? So we know, okay, if we write the answers like this way, we will get full marks, right? So likewise, for interviews, we have to know what interviewers always been looking from us, right? What they expect from us when we are answering for interview questions. Let's see, there are certain important things. So the first thing they look for is, can you do the job? So they will look at your resume or CV and check what experience you have, what are your education qualifications, and what skills you have. So this is done maybe prior to the interview, or sometimes the hiring managers um, do pre-screening. So they will do a phone interview and check whether you have this experience, whether you say you have a bachelor's in science or a bachelor's in management, whether actually you have it, right? So they confirm that you have these skills and experience. And then, will you do the job? So this is basically done during the interview. So this will be determined by asking questions, right? Competency based questions, whether you have motivation to do job, are you really interested in this job. So these are the things that they will focus mainly during the interview, like face to face interview or online interview. So then they will also check how well you fit with their people and culture. So if you are interviewed for a team, so the most of the team members will be talking with you during the interview, and they will look for your social skills, communication skills, whether you are a match. So how we successfully defend these two when it is coming to a competency based interview. So, the most widely used method to answer successfully for the competency based interview is known as STAR method. So, in STAR method, S represents situation. So, when you are asked a question, you have to come up with a situation or like background, what, where your role involved, and what is the problem. And then you have to come up with a task, like what, how it happened, and what did you do, this what was your task, right? And then you have the action, what did you do to solve the problem, or what, how you involved, did you do something, did you resolve the problem, did you help someone to resolve the problem. All of this come under action area. And then you have results. So what is the outcome of your action? Did it benefit or did you figure out, right? So did you got the recognition for your action? So this is the result. So let's look at some situation like these competency based questions and how I have answered uh, how I answered those questions with respect to my situations, but you can relate to uh, your questions, right? So when you are preparing for your interview, you can have some of these examples and write down your own answers. So one question, so I got is, can you give an example of a work related problem? So this is asked widely, and I have been asked this in several interviews, including the interview I had with Intel. So, this is a situation how I applied the STAR method. So, the situation is when I did not have prior work experience because I was a graduate student, did my PhD. So, I wasn't working in a company. So, what I had is I had to come up with something that my research related. So one of the things we had is we had a nano imprinting lithography machine, a tool that is producing nano devices. And then that tool was unable to bond like the devices we want. And all the devices we made from um, that machine failed. So this is the situation. Okay, now you have a situation. And then what is the task? What task do I need to do? Or what task did I do? I had to find out what is the reason and then fix the problem, right? And what actions I took. So I have to inform this to my supervisor that there is a problem because he needs to know there is a problem. And then I this was a new tool that brought into our lab. So I had to check whether this tool has any limitations compared to the previous tools we had. And then I worked on troubleshooting and found out that there is a time limitation. So this new tool had 5 minute limitation, but we wanted 10 minutes to produce our devices. And then I did discuss with the manufacturer and agreed to get a new software. So what is the results? A new software is developed, and then we were able to produce our devices efficiently. So you have to, like this story, you have to give kind of a story when you are asked this type of a question. So use the star method and try to build your answer. So before your interview, you go through the uh, job description and find out. So you can guess what type of questions you can be asked, right? So you think about situations where you can give strong examples, and always be prepared before your interview. Write down things so you won't forget. During the interview you will be nervous, right? So you will not remember sometimes. And then tell me how you work under pressure. So certain jobs ask whether you can work under pressure. This is something happened yesterday for me. Um, I, I was the on-call engineer. So when I'm on-call engineer, I have to attend, represent my group, all the tools I own during the on-call engineer time. And then at the same time, my manager asked me to complete some data analysis by the end of the day. So at 10 a.m. in a meeting, she says, Charuni, I need this to be done by the end of the day. So, what is my task? I have to complete my on call work as well as perform data analysis. And then, what would be my action? Right? So here I had to prioritize things, list of things I had to do. So I prioritize things I have to do, and then I prepared a plan of action, and I set up small timelines and goals, and then I was able to achieve the task. So if your interviewer asks, tell me how you work under pressure, you can build up a story like this, build a small story. So it makes you, so your interviewer thinks, okay, you are really good or strong person for this position. You actually have involved in this. And if you say, for example, when you are asked this question, and if you say, yes, I have worked under pressure, I have done multiple tasks at the time, will that be a good answer? That is not a good answer. So if you have to be more concise and answer like give examples, give situations you actually involved. That makes a strong difference from saying, "Oh, I did multitasking." So make sure always to give strong actual situations where you got involved, and give a story. Always give a story. Relate to your past work, right? That is the basis of competency based interviews. So disagreements. Can you have disagreements with your manager or supervisor? So, this is a common question that you are being asked in an interview. So, I was being asked this in all of my interviews, how I handled a disagreement or conflict in my team or manager. So, this is an example. Uh, So I told that the story of our new tool, right? So when we had problems, my supervisor, when I informed my supervisor, he never believed that tool had issues. And he said, the tool is fine and capable. You have to try. So, but I realized the problem. I knew that there is a problem with the tool, but because he said no issues, I had to prove him that his opinion is not correct. So if I say him, no, this is not, the tool has issue, it will not prove him that his opinion is not correct, right? So I had to come up with some evidences, I needed to provide evidence to him that this is wrong. So to do that, my approach was I have to do different experiments in my case, because I was doing experiments, and then I analyzed the data and showed him that we cannot achieve our goal with current software. So the action is I proposed the new software, and then after going through all of my findings, he agreed that the tool has issue. So that is how you strategically um, tell someone your disagreement. You have to come up with with evidence, right? You have to convince them they are wrong, but you have to do it in a nice way. You cannot. That is how you professionally do it. You cannot just say no, you are wrong. This is what. So nobody will believe you if you do that. Make sure always when you have a disagreement or something, that's how you have to approach, and that should be your answer. That is how you should build your answer if you are asked this question. So what other important questions asked other than this behavioral question? The most common question is, tell me about yourself. So in here, you have to be professional, right? You have to say that what is your uh, career goal maybe, and come up with something like characteristic to you, right? So you can say that, okay, I for example, if I say I am an enthusiastic scientist who work towards developing this work, and this is how I achieved it, and these are my career goals, and I have experience, like, leading teams and um, training people. So something that is professional, you have to tell about you. It's not that you tell your personal things. Do not bring up your personal stuff when you are asked to tell me about yourself. And why are you interested in this position? So read your job description and come up with the answer how your experience match the organization's need, right? And if you cannot find, read and research the core values of the company, you can go to the company's website, always go to the website and find out what is their mission, what is their goal, what are their core values, right? For example, when I was interviewed at Intel, they asked me why I am interested in this position. So in the job description, it said uh, problem solving and the teamwork. So I said, um, I went through the job description while I'm applying for the job, and then I saw that this position involved problem solving, and problem solving is something I really enjoy. So that made me interest in the position. That's why I applied. And another factor is I like to work in teams, and I am a very successful person in teams than I think as an individual. So that was my answer. So when you answer this type of questions, make sure you read and understand the uh, core values of the company and what is expected in the job and why you wanted to apply for the job, right? So you cannot say, okay, I applied for this job because I don't have a job. It's not what is expected. So make sure you answer that correctly. And what are your strengths, right? So as a person, what are your strengths, and that matches with the competency. You might have good leadership qualities. right? You can say like you are a very collaborative person and prefer to work in group, right? You can say I have worked involved working in the projects where teams are involved, and so I'm very collaborative person, and I have so much creativity in making the project. So something like that. Bring your strengths. And what is your biggest weakness? So this is, I was asked this question in all of my interviews I faced. So in here, you have to tell your weakness. You have to figure out a weakness. So when I was preparing for the interview, what I did was I made I had a like prepared answer. I wrote down some facts. What is my weakness? So and how I overcame it. Right. So your weakness, you have to say weakness, but you cannot make a negative impact um, to the interviewer. So you have to say, yes, I had this weakness. So my greatest weakness is sometimes I focus on too much on the details of the project and spend too much time analyzing finer points. So because of this, sometimes my work is held back, right? Because you spend more time on too much details, and your time is wasted, right? And then you can say, okay, I figured out this is my weakness. And then uh, after realizing my weakness, I started, um, having small deadlines for myself. So I won't spend longer time on focusing details. So that's how you overcame it, right? So always give your weakness and tell how you overcame it, and give an impression that you don't have it now. You had it, but you are in the process of overcoming it, or you overcame it. What is your current salary and what is your expectation? So I don't know exactly how things work in Sri Lanka now, but in my opinion, uh, do not tell the numbers. So when you are asked this question, if I was you, my answer is like, I know you can tell the interviewer that you know my skills and my um, education, you know what I'm capable of. So I think because you know all of those, you will consider each and everything and come up with a reasonable salary. So that would be uh, my answer. And tell like I'm always open to negotiations. So then they know, okay, you are open to negotiation. So first you need to get the job, right? And then you can negotiate whether you want a higher salary, or after you getting the offer, you can negotiate it little bit. But before you get the job, I would not recommend talking about the numbers exactly. So what next we will look what we need to do during the interviews. So nowadays I know the interviews are majorly online. So I had, when I joined Intel, my interview was 7 hour online interview with 8 different people and 1 hour presentation. So what you need to do during an interview, you have to make, the key thing is you have to make a good first and last impression. Even though you are meeting the person through the screen, you have to make a good impression. You have to be pleasant. You can have, like, you have to be relaxed, and you can smile to them nicely, and then make a good first impression. That is very important. And since you are doing online interview, make sure you have a good network connection and you have a proper background behind you. I know you all know how to dress proper appropriately, and the other major thing is maintain eye contact with the person. When you're talking, even when you're talking online, you have to look directly to them and talk to them. Do not look sides or do something else or look at your phone. That is not a good thing. And listen carefully to the complete question. This is most of the people don't do this. So when the interviewer is asking a question, listen carefully. And if you don't understand, then ask, clarify it. It's okay. You can say, if you don't understand it, um, sorry, can you please explain this little bit more, or can you please elaborate on this more? Right? Then you can, once you understand, you don't have to answer for a question right away. Like you are not expected to ask right. You are not expected to answer for a question right away. So you can take a little bit time and make sure you understand the question clearly and then answer. Do not jump into answering quickly. That will sometimes that might make errors, right? And what we do not do during the interview. So this is a big no when do not lie about your experience. So when you are sending your resume for a job, do not lie about your experience, and whatever you put in your resume, you should be able to defend them, answer them. So your interviewer can ask anything by looking at your resume. If you put something that is not your experience, it will make a really bad impression on you. So do not do this. Be honest to yourself. Be and then Because if you lie and if you're asked a question, the interviewer can go in depth to make sure if this is true or not. So at some point it will come that it is not true. So don't put yourself into that situation. And nervous, was I nervous? Yeah, I was nervous too when I was doing my first interviews. But then, you have to make, even though you are nervous inside, you should not show it, right? So make sure, I know you get easily nervous, but try to hide it. Don't show your interviewer that you are nervous. It will show that you don't have a confidence to face the interview. That is not good. And you give very brief answers, so it's not good either, right? As I said, you have to give very concise answers on this competency based interview. And looking at your phone or doing something else, so you are on a on web based interview, and then you turn on your video and you just look at your phone time to time. Do not do that. That is not acceptable. So, and you cannot argue with members. So sometimes there might be members that will annoy you, right? That some people keep asking the same question over and over again. I remember during my interview at Intel, so there was one member who asked me the same question over and over again. So did it annoy me? Yes, it annoyed me, but I I cannot show my anger or something, right? You have to be patient. So make sure if some that is also a part of testing uh, when you go to a job, right? How you deal with those annoyed situation. Will you become aggressive, or can you handle it calm and quietly, right? So keep in mind, if someone keeps asking the same question, it is irritating, but you have to be calm and quiet and handle the situation nicely. So now we talked uh, how to successfully face the interviews, right? But what to do if we fail, right? Have I failed in situations? Yes, I have. So I think after my PhD, I almost faced 5 interviews with 5 different companies. But have I failed? Yes, I prepared like you guys, so I followed most of the steps. But there are certain cases I also couldn't answer properly in my first couple of interviews, and I felt like okay, I should have done this better. So what do we do if we fail, right? So you have to take the failure as an opportunity. It's okay, you failed the interview, but that's okay. It gave you a chance to know how questions are asked in an interview, how a competency based interview is done, right? And then you can evaluate yourself and understand what needs to be improved, right? And so after my first couple of interviews, did I give up on applying? No, right? So you should not give up. You can fail, but you still have to keep trying. And that one you have to try until you get what you want, right? If you stop trying, you will not achieve what you want. So one thing, the more interviews you face, the more experience you gain on the interview process. So take the failure as a positive thing. And at the end of the day, even if you get the job or not, it is not the end of the world, right? You will have alternate opportunities. So make sure every failure is a step to success, as I highlighted in this picture. So failure, it's okay to fail. It's okay to be sad, but it is not the end of the world. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation and see if you have any questions. Any questions from anyone? I know it's long talk, but do you have any questions? You can type a message to chat if you are uncomfortable talking or if you have questions. So if you don't have questions, next I will have one more slide to show. So I know most of you are looking for jobs, and then some of you might have interest to do postgraduate studies. So here I'm saying I want to emphasize how you apply for a postgraduate studies, what you need, right? So you don't need to go to an agency or something. You can do everything by yourself. So this is how for the USA, I don't know for other countries, but do you have your undergraduate degree? And then to go to a postgraduate degree, you need to do GRE, which is called as Graduate Record Examination, and then GMAT. I don't know the exact word. This is for management students. So this is for uh, science people and most language people. And if you are trying to do a management postgraduate, you need to do GMAT to come to US. And most institute in US now accept IELTS, and then TOEFL. So this is English language proficiency exams, and all of these exams can be done online. So you can do it in Sri Lanka. And the other thing is, if you have a good class and good GPA, you can directly apply. But don't think your opportunities are limited if you don't have a good class or higher GPA. So what you can do is you can do masters in Sri Lanka and do it successfully, and then you can still follow this path. So if you are applying for PhDs, most PhDs comes with a scholarship, so you don't have to pay. So if any of you are interested, so try to do these exams, and then if you go to the website, show you. So you can go to different universities websites. I don't know if you can see my screen. So you can go to, so this is University of Kansas website. So you can go to the website, and if you go to the academics, you can find what departments they have. Uh, uh, I did chemistry PhD, so I'll just go there and show you how to find out what are the other requirements. And then every every department have admissions page, so you can go to graduate admissions, and then it says, right, what you need for applications, right? You need transcript, GRE scores, resume. International students are required to take IELTS or TOEFL, and what is the required test. So you can apply, but so you just click this, and it will take you to the application and tell you exactly what you need. So this is not only limited for chemistry, but it is you can go to any other program. So every program will give you what is required. So if you are interested in applying or doing higher studies, I would recommend. So this is only University of Kansas, but you can go to any university in US, and all of them have a similar format. So So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I would like to thank Dr. Janaka Siambalapitiya for giving me this opportunity, and
Excuse
as
me,
well
Dr.
as,
Charuni. There are some questions in the chat. Could you please
oh,
try to
okay,
answer them?
yeah, sure. So one question is want to change again and again. Yes, when you are applying for different jobs, you have to change your CV according to their job description. And then you can add what are your skills or competencies depending on the job. So you cannot use same resume or CV for every job. And the other thing is, unfortunately, I don't know what is PTE exam is. I think it is something related to Australia or Canada. Uh, for USA, I know it's IELTS and TOEFL are the exams that is accepted. Any other questions?